Hi, it's Rob from the Brush and Boltgun. Today I'm going to be doing a quick and easy tutorial on how to paint Thermic Plasma Conduits. Now the first colour that we're going to use is Citadel Blue. Now you can see the conduit itself has been sprayed with a metallic. It's Citadel Leadbelcher spray can. Now you do want to ensure you get a good coverage with this because there's parts of it that were missed, and I have to reapply some brushed on Leadbelcher a little later on in the video, but I'll let you know where that is. So you're just going to apply the Blue to all of the coils. Now compared to the old sets of the plasma conduits, these are a lot nicer. These are the ones from the Necromunda Dark Uprising that I'm using at the moment. Now moving on to Citadel Drakenhof Nightshade. Just going to use that to go over all the Blue, so it's all in recesses. Here's a really cool kit. This one tends to get a few more with just the standard box of the Thermic Plasma Conduits to go with the ones from the Necromunda box, because they do look really good. Now we're returning to Citadel Blue. I'm just going to reapply that to all the ridges of the plasma coils. Now there's a very similar technique to what we used on the Plasma Glow for Imperial Plasma Guns, which was a few months ago I think, but obviously on a larger scale. Once this layer is done, we'll be returning to do the highlights and get that glow looking good. So now I'm going to add some Vallejo White to the Blue, just to lighten that up. I'm going to paint this across the coils in kind of two lines, so there's a little stretch down the middle that is just plain Blue. You can see the break in the highlights there. Doing that just so it looks like there's two ridges of lighter plasma running down the middle. So again, we're going to add a little bit of white to the previous mix. We're going to highlight that again. You can see a little bit that I've started there where the video didn't start. So I'm going to go over that bit again. Doing the broken end here, the coils on that will just be a copper colour, but the completed ones I wanted to keep, so they're glowing blue, like the coils down the middle. Now we're going to add a little bit more Vallejo White again. We'll just keep repeating this process, covering a smaller and smaller area down the middle of each of the glowing strips. It's important to try and get those little tiny ridges at the very ends with it as well, just to keep the glow consistent right the way along these sections. As you can see, it is a very quick technique to do. I think the main thing with painting these conduits was the shades, which took the longest time to dry. The rest of the process is really quick. So we've added another amount of white to the previous mix. We're just going to do an even thinner highlight down these. You can see that's not taking up much space down the middle at all. You can really see the glow starting to come into its own here. The last couple of layers, it really does make it look like it's shining down the middle. As I say, you can go to town doing layers on this, so the more layers you do, the smoother the transition will be from the white to the Blue. But I think this is a decent effect for the amount of effort that you put into it. It's also very quick to do. So finally, we're just going to use some pure white. We're just going to run that gently down the middle of each one. What you can also do is once you've done this on each of the sections, if you get a little tiny bit on your brush, you can gently dry brush a little bit away from where the white stripe is down the middle. And that just gives the impression that it is glowing a little bit. If you have a look on the blog, I've done that on that one because I was able to play about with it a little bit more. It does add quite a nice little effect to it. Now we're going to be working on the copper. So I'm going to be doing all these big tubes on it as Fulgurite copper. Now for the amount of time that you spend painting this, and the amount of colours you use, because there isn't really that many, it's actually a really nice, quick and easy technique of painting them up and getting them looking decent, because when you've got a full set of them on the table, it does look very, very good indeed. There will be a picture of all the ones that I've done so far at the end of this video. Now I'm going to use a little bit of Vallejo Modeler Rust, and this is just to add a darker metallic to it. Now if you've not picked up the Necromunda Dark Uprising box, or you're a fan of Necromunda, you've been looking at it, the scenery in there is really, really good. I'm going to be doing a few more tutorials on the plastic zone mortalis bits from it. You've got floor paneling, you've got the stand-up bits, walls, doors, you name it. They're all really, really detailed and great fun to paint. Now we're going to work on a little canister. I'm going to use Citadel Mephiston Red to start on that. I'll just paint that up out of shot so you can't see it. That's like to these little bits that you can see how quickly it is to paint up. Like the bits where it's speeded up here is like 4 times the speed it would be. So for about 5 minutes or so you'll have this painted up to the same level that it will do. Now what I've done here is I'm using Citadel Leadbelcher just to reapply to some of the areas where the Leadbelcher spray can hasn't quite got. And what I found was, because the can was running out, it didn't give a very good coverage, so some areas of it were a little bit like bare plastic, so when I was trying to apply the shade to it, it was just pooling and running away from the areas where you wanted it. So I thought I'll just give it a quick going over with a brush and some Leadbelcher. And once that's dry and I've done that, I can then apply the wash to it without fear of it spreading out and going anywhere. So you can see there, it's all applied, it's nicely smooth Leadbelcher. Now we're going to use Citadel Nuln Oil, and we're going to shade all the silvery metallic areas. What I'm trying to do is just give a thin layer on the smooth surfaces of the tubing and that, and then leaving a slightly thicker amount, letting it pool in the ridges just to give that darkness to it. I'm using a little bit more than I usually would because I want it to pool, I want it to look dirtier and grimier, because it's an old conduit in the underhive, so it is going to be pretty grim and grimy. So just carry on doing that to all the silver metallics, then we'll come back and sort out the next bit. Now I'm going to be using Citadel Druchii Violet. I'm going to use that on the Mephiston Red. I'll just give that a quick layer, so you've got a little bit of darkness around the edges of it and around the straps holding it. You can see how dulled down that is. Now we're going to dull it even further with Citadel Agrax Earthshade. So all these vertical pieces of tubing here, you want to give them a really good going over, and the bottom half of the tube, give that a really good going over as well. In some places I went back and gave it a second coating. So if you've finished it and the Agrax Earthshade dries and you're not quite as happy with how dark it is on the underside, just go back, give it another coat, and that'll darken that right up for you. So I'm trying to get all these vertical stripes in the middle. I'm trying to get across all the bolts and all the areas where dirt had catch, so on top of the ridges and that kind of thing. Now we're moving back to the canister again. I'm going to use Citadel Mephiston Red. Painted this in a bit of a strange order, so I'm not too sure whether I wasn't feeling too well when I was recording this, but it's a bit of a different order than I'd usually paint it. I'll give that a nice smooth layer of Mephiston Red, leaving the Druchii Violet in the recesses. And once we've done that, like so, we're going to return and add a little bit of Citadel Fire Dragon Bright to the Mephiston Red. I'm going to give that a quick highlight. So you want to be doing about the top half of the canister. Like so. then add in a little tiny bit more Fire Dragon Bright to the mix. And we're just going to do about the middle 50% of that previous highlight, like so. Now we're going to use a little bit of Citadel Sigmarite, and it's one of the dry paints, and we're just going to add a little bit of a highlight along the top edges of the copper pipes and this Vallejo Modeler rust area, just to define and bring out the ridges on it. You don't have to do too much, it's just mainly to give that a little bit of shine on the areas where it's at the top, it might have been brushed against or scuffed. Then next up, we're going to be using Citadel Necron Compound. We're going to be using this on the main bulk of the tubing. Now on these parts here, I'm brushing it left to right. So you're always brushing it away from the centre of the tube parts, up against the ridges, so that you're catching those edges and making them look scuffed from side to side. Because it's more likely that there's going to be things brushing past them than there is dropping down onto them. Or you'd hope, unless the underhive's coming down. So you can see there, that's adding a nice little scuffed edge to all those areas that you've darkened with the Agrax Earthshade. And the final thing that I'm going to use is a little bit of Vallejo Modeler Chrome. I'm using an Army Painter Wargamer character brush for this, just to add some really clean scuffs and scratches to the metal. Now I'm not doing these in any particular place, just a few straight lines, a few little nicks. That just makes it look like something has been scraped against it after all the dirt's been added, and left a nice clean streak through the metal. You can do as much or as little of this as you want. I did a little piece on each section, tried to do a few little nicks on the larger pieces of metal. And then once you've finished that, that will be our Thermic Plasma Conduit finished. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Also, think about subscribing to some of our other social media linked below. Thanks very much.